48 hours to tear down your mom's ramp by Christmas Eve. Or we lean your house. Karen Whitaker said it right in my driveway under those strict icicle lights she forced on the block. Maple Ridge Meadows, neat lawns. HOA newsletters. And one woman who walked like she'd leased the moon. I held the notice. Words blurring, even though I'd only had grocery store coffee. She smiled with every tooth and two that didn't belong to her. I'm Noah Carter, 38. Black. Middle school band teacher who fixes busted trombones with dental floss and mercy. My mom, Ruth, moved in after her stroke last spring. We built a cedar ramp, simple, clean, matched to that precious palette. Warm pecan. Permit from the city. Got it. Inspection signed. Yep. OT letter printed and highlighted. All the receipts slept in a red binder by our front door like a fire extinguisher. Section 8.4. Karen sang. With two polo shirt dudes behind her, nodding like dashboard bobbleheads. Accessory structures are prohibited without prior architectural review. Your structure is non-compliant. There's an exception for disability accommodations. I said. Heart doing a drumline under my shirt. Not if it hurts, curb appeal. She blinked, slow. Lizard slow. My mom can't levitate. I tried to keep my voice steady. We submitted. We were approved. Approved by the wrong committee. She said. 48 hours. Midnight on December 24th. Comply. Or we lean. Behind me. My daughter, Ava 12. Braver than me by miles, peered through the screen. She mouthed. You good I wasn't. But I nodded anyway. 'Cause that's what dads do. Inside. Mom muted her TV and called. Baby. You breathing? I said. Yeah. While the breath in my chest did a weird, square dance. I set the notice on the kitchen table next to our binder. Fines, $500 flat. Processing $100. Daily penalties, $100 per day, starting Christmas Day. I pulled the permit with the Navy City seal. Flip. The inspection sign-off, dated June 12th. Flip. The OT letter, describing exactly why my mom needs a ramp. I stacked them like armor. We had a clock now. 2 days. What would you do if somebody told you to roll your mother back inside for winter? The petty stuff came first. Like bumblebees, before a hornet swarm. A letter about my mailbox being 1/2 shade too dark. A note taped to my flag, only flags within approved dimensions. A friendly reminder that Ava's portable hoop must not be visible from the street. Which is funny 'cause the hoop lives at the edge of my own driveway, and, you know, kids bounce. Then, the little free library. Ava and I built it for Mom's therapy she paints. I drill stuff we could do together when speech was hard. We stocked it with paperbacks, kid books, and 2 cookbooks. Mom swore she'd cook from again. Next morning, a pink zip-tied tag, unauthorized kiosk remove immediately. Karen posted a selfie with it on the neighborhood app. Clutter attracts crime. I printed the city's right-of-way guideline and highlighted the line that said, book exchanges permitted with homeowner consent and unobstructed sidewalk. Receipt number 1. I slid it into a plastic sleeve and labeled the binder spine. Not today. Karen. Petty maybe. Accurate. Yes. Rumors followed. That my dented blue minivan was a commercial vehicle. That I was running a business from the garage when students dropped off clarinets. Oh, police energy. I kept my head down, 'cause I'm a teacher, and if I chased every rumor, I'd run out of shoes. But the ramp, no. Keep my mom from the sun, you wanna fight. I emailed Karen at 6:15 in the evening. Attached, please find the accessibility permit approved. June 5th. Inspection completed, June 12th. CC'd the HOA inbox. CC'd myself. CC'd my patients. She shot back at 7:02. City permits are not binding on HOA architectural standards. I replied at 7 to 10 with the Fair Housing Act section on reasonable accommodations. Receipt number 2. She wrote, the board will convene. When I asked, Thursday, December 20th at 7:30 in the evening. She wrote, like she was doing me a favor. 5 days. Clock's ticking louder now. Monday morning. A woman in jogging tights crouched by the ramp, taking photos at ground level like it was a crime scene. Can I help you? I asked. She startled, then squared up. Documenting violations. I'm on the architectural committee. Cool. Your name, she said. Jessica. And jogged away as soon as I pointed to the ring cam by the porch. Receipt number 3, stills with a clean timestamp at 8:24. At 10, a bright orange sticker on my ramp, condemned. Official looking until you notice the misspelling. Municipal. My mom laughed, then coughed. If they gon' fake it, they could at least spell. I slid it off carefully and texted Priya, the city inspector who'd signed our inspection. She texted back at 10:31, not us. Also, illegal. Do not remove ramp. I'll email. At lunch. Priya emailed from her city account, confirming the ramp meets residential accessibility standards as of June 12th. There is no condemnation. Please forward any HOA communications to me. Receipt number 4. At 3. Ava came home tight-jawed. Dad. Mrs. Whitaker cornered me at the bus stop. Said she's concerned about Grandma being left unsupervised. My ribs lit. I scrolled the doorbell history, Karen's silver crossover, idling across our house at drop-off time, 3 days in a row. Clips saved. Receipts 5. 6. 7. That night, over Mom's easy chili. I laid out our plan. We go to the hearing. We bring the binder. We keep it calm. Mom nodded. Read the law, slow. Make them hear. Ava said, I wanna come. I said, no. And she said, please, and my resolve folded like a cheap lawn chair. Okay. But sit by the exit. I packed the binder and our little projector. The cover felt like armor. It was only paper. But paper can be heavy. Tuesday at 7 in the morning. I found Karen measuring my grass with a ruler. I walked out in socks, 'cause I forgot shoes. You know you make the memes by yourself. Right, I said. Grass height must be uniform, she said without looking up. Also, your holiday lights aren't synchronized with community timing. Please refer to the schedule. She handed me a glossy thing that said lights on at 6. Off at 9. We turn ours off when Mom's tired, I said. She shrugged. Individual preferences are not enforceable standards. Cool, I said. Brain stuck in its one-word loop. Neither is you on my lawn. I pointed to the mailbox. No trespassing. She smiled like a dentist. The strip between sidewalk and curb is common area. She tapped her clipboard. I'll need to inspect the ramp supports. No. Non-compliance will be noted. Note this, I said, pulling out my phone. You're not a building inspector. I filmed her saying, I have authority. Receipt number 8. Priya texted, impersonating an inspector is a crime. Consider a police report. Wednesday at dawn, metal clanging at my side gate. 2 men with bolt cutters. Hey, I shouted. The tall one shook a laminated badge that looked printed at a mall kiosk. We're here for a safety inspection. I flipped the porch light. Pointed at the camera. Police are on the way. They hustled off. Officer Martinez rolled up at 7:22. Took the badge. And sighed. We've had other HOA theatrics. She said. You got video, receipt number 9. She gave me a card, with a report number, read slow, so I could write every word. By afternoon, a new notice board hearing moved to Wednesday. December 19th, 7 in the evening. Attendance mandated. The word mandated made me laugh in that way. That doesn't sound like laughter. I texted Priya. She wrote back, I'll come. My chest loosened a notch. The clubhouse smelled like coffee and an essential oil promising calm. Chairs in a U. A folding table up front. Karen sat with 4 board members in matching winter sweaters. About 24 neighbors hovered behind. Buzzing. Sleet tapped windows December, singing its cold song. Karen banged a tiny mallet like this was a courtroom. We will now address the Carter accessibility structure. She said. Mr. Carter, please state your case. The way she said case sounded like confession. I stood. Set the binder and the projector down. And took a breath deep enough to touch my toes. Before I start, I'm asking that the minutes reflect my statements accurately. Karen smiled at the secretary without looking. Of course. I clicked. The wall filled with our city permit seal, sharp and blue. Receipt. I said. Some neighbors laughed under their breath. Next, slide the OT letter on letterhead with that neat signature. Explaining Mom's needs. Receipt. Then the Fair Housing Act language on reasonable accommodations. Receipt. Karen didn't glance. Our committee. With respect. I said. Palm up. Let me finish. Click. Split screen the fake orange condemned sticker beside Priya's email, calling it fraudulent. Receipt. Then ring stills Jessica crouched by the ramp. Receipt. Then 3 clips of Karen's crossover idling near the bus stop. Receipt. 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 Stop. Karen snapped. You cannot present private footage. The street is public view. I said. Also, your car is loud. A few chuckles. Karen tried again. Mr. Carter. The HOA cannot be bound by some city employee's opinion. Click. Priya's city profile senior inspector filled the wall. Receipt. Also. She's here. Priya lifted a hand. Murmurs got teeth. This is a private meeting. Karen said. Priya's voice was velvet with steel. You invited me when a fake municipal notice appeared on a resident's ramp. The ramp stays. Karen's smile twitched. We hold higher aesthetic standards than the city. Click. The HOA bylaws, one highlighted paragraph that read, reasonable accommodations shall be granted. Receipt. Your own rules. She leaned forward and whispered. Forgetting microphones, love whispers. You're not a good fit for Maple Ridge. Folks in the back inhaled like they'd touched a live wire. I clicked to the slide I debated showing. A spreadsheet invoices. Checks. The contractor's name repeated like a chorus. Whitaker Property Services. Quick question. Why is Whitaker Property Services being paid for security upgrades without a vote? A board member looked like he'd swallowed a battery. Another woman stood near Priya, blending into the wall until she didn't. blazer, steady eyes. For the record, she said, voice calm and precise. I'm Maya Patel, with the State Attorney General's office. We received a complaint about unapproved surveillance license plate capture without community vote. That violates state privacy law. Silence fell. Karen said, we have no click. The neighborhood app screenshot projected Karen bragging about upgrading to plate capture on October 23rd. Caption finally. Real oversight. Receipt. A neighbor murmured. You've been scanning our plates. Another, I never voted on that. Walt. White hair. Navy cap. The neighbor who taught Ava to throw a spiral. Stepped forward. She fined me $100 for my service flag. Said my pole was too tall. He said. Voice steady. And now, she wants this man to carry his mama over the porch. Shame. Karen banged the mallet. Order. Maya's tone didn't change. Miss Whitaker. I'll be direct. Have you used your volunteer post for personal financial benefit? Karen exhaled hard. I've protected property values. So. Yes. Somebody said. I didn't gloat okay. Inside a little, but I watched Mom instead. She sat straight as church. Hands folded. Eyes bright. Outside. Sleet drummed faster. The board treasurer whispered. Motion to table. Priya shook her head. No table. Mobility can't wait. The ramp stays. Fine void. Maya added. Also, unapproved surveillance will be shut down. Data retention audited. The mallet trembled in Karen's hand. The next morning, my tires were slashed. Not punctured, cut clean, so they side flat. The ring cam caught a figure in a long coat, moving like someone who never broke a rule until tonight. The gate looked familiar. Receipt number 10. I texted Priya and Maya. Document and file. Maya wrote at 7:02. We're opening a case. I filed with Officer Martinez. She came, looked, wrote, and left with the clips on a thumb drive. At noon, Karen posted in the app, reminder, unsafe structures should be removed for neighbor safety. Comment popped like corn. Stop. The ramp is safe. Where did the camera money go? And a truly poetic Karen. Take a nap. Around dinner. A letter slid under my door, emergency board session, tonight at 6. Sure. I moved Mom and Ava to Walt's for the evening just in case. Set the projector on the coffee table. At 5:59. The doorbell rang. 2 uniformed officers, Martinez and her partner, stood with Maya behind them. We got email saying, you're threatening the community. Maya said. All 3 have identical phrasing and spelling. Also, a claim you obtained a temporary restraining order against the board. She held up a printout. Judges do not issue restraining orders by text on Wednesday nights. At 6:30, Karen marched up my path like a parade grand marshal. Behind her, the 2 polo guys. Jogging Jessica. And a man with a huge camera he clearly bought because it was big. Karen waved a single sheet. You are hereby ordered to remove the illegal structure, or will file liens, and Maya stepped onto the porch and flipped her badge. State Attorney General's office. Let me see that order. Karen handed it over with 2 fingers. The page said sample only faint in the corner. No seal. No signature. I said human. I stuttered, you know. That's not a court. Anything. Officer Martinez looked to Maya. Maya looked at Karen. Ms. Whitaker. Based on the last 24 hours. You're being detained while we investigate impersonation of a public official. Vandalism. An attempted fraud. Excuse me, Karen said. Mouth small. Mallet handle, sticking out of her tote like a wand with no spells. Turn around, Martinez said. Calm like lake water. The cuffs clicked. Jessica stepped back. Hands up like a magician's. Assistant caught without the trapdoor. The polo guys stared at their shoes. Neighbors' curtains fluttered. Walt stood with Mom and Ava on his porch across the way. Mom's hand rose like a benediction. I breathed for the first time in months. The board tried to keep the machine humming like a sprinkler, still running in rain. A letter. In the absence of President Whitaker, Vice President Dan assumed duty. Dan's entire personality is a pressure washer. He called a special emergency meeting for Friday at 6. People showed up furious in parkas and boots. Steam pluming from their words. I came with Mom, Ava, and yes, the binder. Priya sat in front. Maya leaned on the wall. Officer Martinez stood near the back, technically off duty. Very present. Dan started. We'll be brief. A woman in the second row, Marisol. The librarian stood. Motion to remove the entire board, effective immediately. She held up a stack of pages. Petition signed by more than 2/3 of homeowners. You can't, Dan said. The secretary. A quiet woman with perfect minutes named Malia lifted a hand. Actually, they can. She looked at me and blushed like she was borrowing courage from the room. Bylaws allow recall at a special meeting with proper notice. We posted paper notices yesterday and a notice in the app at noon. Maya nodded. Accurate. Proceed. Then the flood. Folks told their stories. A mom fined for a kiddie pool. A retiree cited for wind chimes, audible beyond the property boundary. A family told to hide their wheelchair van out of sight. A backyard garden, non-conforming, 'cause collards aren't roses. It was like someone took the mute off the block. I put one slide up Mom's hands on the ramp rail. Sunlight on cedar. Her smile soft and honest. This is what got fought. I said. Not blight. Not danger. A woman trying to go outside. My voice wobbled, and I hated it and loved it. Hands rose like a tide. Recall passed. New interim board. Marisol, the librarian. Walt, the neighbor. Kim, the nurse. Malia, the secretary. And a contractor named Theo who said, I want nothing to do with anyone's cousin's company. They looked terrified and perfect. Maya stepped up. 2 items. 1. The state is drafting a consent order. All unapproved fines issued in the last year will be voided. And a restitution process will be set up. 2. The camera system is to be dismantled. Data wiped under third-party oversight. Applause rolled like thunder squeezed into a room. Priya added. I'll file a memo to update our internal training slides. Your ramp, Mr. Harder, is compliant and a model. Mom beamed. Come for tea. Bring cookies. Priya laughed. Deal. You want aftermath with teeth. Okay. Karen pled to misdemeanor impersonation and vandalism. Community service at a senior center. A fine. And court-ordered ethics training. A civil agreement barred her from serving on any HOA board for 5 years. She tried to spin up a rival quality council. Nobody came. The state's consent order forced a financial review. Whitaker Property Services had been paid for security upgrades never voted on. Money flowed back to the association. A chunk went to a neighbor's first fund for seniors needing yard help and for accessibility upgrades. At Mom's very loud suggestion, they named it the Donovan Fund, after my dad, who used to mow people's lawns for free and never told anyone. The camera contractor wiped plate data under Maya's eye. The server, hiding behind seasonal decorations in the clubhouse closet, was boxed, tagged, and removed. A local paper wrote a small piece. Neighborhood scales back surveillance. Scales up kindness. I clipped it. Ava taped it inside the little free library. I won't lie. I watched our street like a hawk for a while. Power doesn't retire. It hides. Rebrands. Buys new clipboards. But the board started doing boring things that felt like sunlight agendas posted early. Minutes that matched. Clear lines for when rules apply and when being human matters more. That winter, between storms, I taught Ava to sand cedar. We brushed a fresh coat on the rail. The smell warm and old as pencil shavings. Mom practiced with therapy putty while we worked. Squeezing. Resting. Squeezing. Feels like church, she said. Everybody doing their little part. On a Saturday, Theo, our new contractor board member, hosted a workday. We built a ramp for Miss Geneva, 2 streets over. She's 81, and funny mean in a way that tastes like candy. You hammer like you're scared of wood, she told me, then winked. But the angles is nice. We laughed and worked, and the ramp rose clean and steady. Priya swung by with muffins. Maya brought lemonade, and did not once say, "I told you so." Officer Martinez hammered like it was her day job. Walt supervised in the way grandpas do, loudly. Correctly. With a spare tape measure. Receipts kept happening. Just warmer. A spreadsheet showing the first 5 grants from the Donovan Fund. A thank you card on lined paper from a kid who wrote, "My grandma can go outside now." The board published the new reasonable accommodations policy in actual plain English with examples and shocker empathy. If a resident needs a ramp, it's okay if it's visible. We prefer it be safe. There was still a city hearing in March. One of those long, fluorescent nights. The council took up an ordinance on HOA transparency and surveillance. I didn't plan to speak. I'm not a podium person. But when the mic sat lonely, I walked up. I'm a teacher. I started. And my voice cracked. So I reset. I'm a teacher. I'm also a son. I kept receipts because I had to. Please, make it so we don't. Priya testified about fake notices and the way impersonation erodes trust. Maya testified about plate readers and how consent matters. Walt, in his Navy cap, told the council. His wind chimes made him feel like his late wife was still laughing in the backyard. Marisol explained why libraries and little boxes with books make more neighbors than cameras do. The ordinance passed. Not perfect. But better HOAs in our city have to post proposed surveillance measures 30 days before any vote. Provide data retention plans. And get a supermajority to approve. Fines have caps. And an appeal path that isn't big. The same people who find you. Small win, big one to us. After the vote, Karen's cousin filed a public comment that said, "This will destroy property values." A reporter asked me for a quote. I said, "What's a property value worth if my mom can't touch sunlight?" They used it as the closer. I blushed for 3 days. Spring slid into summer. The ramp grayed in a pretty way cedar does. We planted herbs along the base, 'cause Mom said ramps deserve company basil, rosemary, and mint that tried to colonize the yard. Ava painted the little free library, a shade she called warm pecan plus sunshine. Kids left stickers, one left a note. I took a dragon book. I'll bring it back. They did. The new board kept choosing boring good. They made a neighbor help sign up instead of a violation patrol. They scheduled a yard day where folks trimmed for seniors and earned a plate of brownies instead of a fine. They posted a budget with actual numbers in words anyone could read. No tiny fog. They created a call before you fine rule knock. Ask. Listen. You'd be amazed how many violations die in the first minute of a human conversation. On a Sunday in July, we held a block party. Walt grilled hot dogs. Malia's teenagers handed out popsicles. Kim ran a sunscreen station like a boss. Priya showed up off-duty with her kids. Maya brought a lemon cake that tasted like every good decision. Martinez came by in a t-shirt that said, "Be kind, or else." Somebody hung a banner, "Neighbors First." They announced the first Donovan Fund scholarships for graduating seniors. 2 modest awards for kids headed to community college. The one for trade school went to a quiet boy who wants to be a welder. The academic one went to a girl who wrote an essay about taking care of her grandma and building a little ramp out of scrap wood. Mom cried and said it was allergies. Same. Kid. Look. I know not every story flips this clean. Some boards dig in. Some cops don't come. Some inspectors look away. Some neighbors stay silent behind neat hedges, and a smile that hides the door locks clicking. We got lucky. And also, we got loud in the right ways. Here's what worked for us, no magic. Just habits. Get the permit. Print the email. Learn the law. Keep a calm voice until it won't work. Then bring a crowd. Invite officials who actually have badges. Document the petty because the petty stacks. Show faces and names and hands on rails. Remind people that rules are supposed to serve humans, not the other way around. We didn't win. We built something. A binder. A ramp. A tiny library. A fund with a name that means something when the sun hits the plaque. We built a neighborhood that minds its own business until somebody needs help. And then minds the heck out of them. Karen does her court hours at a senior center, a town over. Sometimes I wonder if she's learning the thing the rest of us learn slowly. Power is a tool, not an identity. Clipboards don't hug people. Mallets don't raise kids. Property values don't watch sunsets with their mamas. One evening in September, warm air. The smell of cut grass. I rolled Mom to the top of our ramp. She set her hands on the rail. We watched Ava ride her bike in sloppy circles, and we listened to the wind talk to Walt's wind chimes. "This'll do," Mom said. "You done good. I ain't gonna lie, the binder still sits by our door. A habit. A promise. Receipts matter because memory gets bullied. But we use the binder now to hold thank you notes and copies of the new policy and a Polaroid of Miss Geneva on her ramp holding a paper cup like it's champagne. So if you're where we were, with a notice on your door and a deadline that feels like a shove, what would you do? Quiet path. Or projector and binder. Come on. Tell me your pettiest fine story. Tell me how you flipped it. Tell me what your block built after.